Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to give our brains a really good workout. We're diving into a bunch of fun logic puzzles designed to sharpen your thinking skills, from tricky word problems to visual teasers. So let's get right to it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a quick warm-up. We've got an analogy here. Illiteracy is to education as flood is to what? The real key is figuring out the relationship between those first two words. Go ahead and pause here if you want a moment to think it over.
You know, puzzles like that one are really the core of what mental ability is all about. It's not just about what you know, it's about how you think, connecting the dots, seeing the relationships, and really getting to the why behind the problem.
So here's the solution. The connection is all about prevention or a solution. Education is the thing that removes or prevents illiteracy. So when we look at our options for a flood, what prevents it? Well, a dam is specifically built to prevent a flood. That's our relationship, cause and prevention.
All right, let's switch gears and tackle some word-based logic. Now, these can be pretty tricky sometimes because they love to use confusing language to describe what are actually simple family relationships.
Take a look at this one. Harsh is looking at a portrait and he says, "His mother is the wife of my father's son. I have no brothers or sisters." So who is he looking at? It sounds like a real tongue twister, but I promise we can break it down piece by piece. Okay, this one can get a little confusing, so let's follow the steps. The first clue is the most important. Harsh says he has no brothers or sisters. So when he says, "my father's son," who can he be talking about? Himself, of course. So the wife of my father's son is just a complicated way of saying Harsh's wife. And if she is the mother of the person in the portrait, well then the person in the portrait has to be Harsh's son. चला, ही थोडासा कन्फ्युजिंग टकणार आहे, म्हणून मी हे मराठीमध्ये स्पष्ट करतो. पहिला, हर्ष म्हणतो मला कोणी भाऊ किंवा बहीण नाही. त्यामुळे माझ्या वडिलांचा मुलगा म्हणजे तो स्वतः हर्ष आहे. दुसरा, माझ्या वडिलांच्या मुलाची पत्नी म्हणजे हर्षची पत्नी. तिसरा, त्याची आई म्हणजे हर्षची पत्नी. म्हणून शेवटी पोर्ट्रेटमधील व्यक्ती हर्षचा मुलगा आहे.
Ready for another one? It's the same kind of puzzle. This time, Amar is pointing to a girl and weaving another one of these family webs. Let's trace the connections together and see if we can untangle it.
Let's walk through the logic here. First phrase, the only son of my mother's father. Who is that? That's your mother's brother, your maternal uncle. So, Amar's maternal uncle. The puzzle says this same person, this uncle, is the girl's mother's brother. Well, if they have the same maternal uncle, that means they have the same mother. So the girl's mother is Amar's mother. परत एकदा हे स्पष्ट हवे म्हणून मी हे मराठीमध्ये समजावतो. माझ्या आईच्या वडिलांचा एकुलता एक मुलगा म्हणजे अमारचा मामा. आणि हाच मामा त्या मुलीच्या आईचा भाऊ आहे. जर दोघांचा मामा एकाच असेल तर त्यांची आई पण एकाच असणार. म्हणून त्या मुलीची आई ही अमारची आई आहे.
Now for a real classic logic puzzle. We've got 5 friends, a few clues about where they're sitting, and our job is to play detective and figure out the exact order. Let's see what we've got.
Okay, here are the pieces of our puzzle. But before we even start, there's one super important detail to catch. They are all facing south. Now, why does that matter? It means their right is our left when we're looking at them. We have to keep that reversed perspective in mind.
So where do we begin? You always want to start with the most solid clue, the one that locks two people together, and that's this one. Jayesh is to the immediate right of Alok. Remember, since they're facing south, from our point of view, Jayesh is on Alok's left. So we have a pair that has to be in this order, Jayesh, then Alok.
Okay, we have our first pair, Jayesh, Alok. Now what? The next clue says Subodh is between Jayesh and Pramod. To make that work, the order must be Pramod, Subodh, Jayesh. The final clue, Pramod is between Bhagat and Subodh. This means Bhagat has to be on the other side of Pramod. So, putting it all together, we get our final lineup. Bhagat, Pramod, Subodh, Jayesh, and Alok. हे थोडासा ट्रिकी असू शकता, म्हणून चला आपण हे मराठीमध्ये स्टेप बाय स्टेप सोडूया. आपल्याकडे जायेश आणि अलोक हे जोडपे आहे. नंतर सुबोध हा जायेश आणि प्रमोदच्या मध्ये आहे, म्हणजे क्रम असेल प्रमोद, सुबोध, जायेश. आणि शेवटी प्रमोद हा भागत आणि सुबोधच्या मध्ये आहे, याचा अर्थ भागत हा प्रमोदच्या दुसऱ्या बाजूला असेल, म्हणून संपूर्ण रचना होते भागत, प्रमोद, सुबोध, जायेश, अलोक.
And this is the great part. Once you've done the hard work of solving the main puzzle, any questions they ask become super simple. Who's on the extreme left? Easy. It's Bhagat. Who's smack dab in the middle? It's Subodh.
All right, we've arranged people. Now let's move on to arranging numbers and letters. This next section is all about spotting the hidden patterns.
So, what's going on in this series? It's not just a simple subtraction. To get from 20 to 19, you subtract 1. Then, from 19 to 17, you subtract 2. You see the pattern? The amount you subtract increases by 1 each time. So the next step is to subtract 3 from 17, which gives us 14.
This one's a little more complex. We're jumping backwards through the alphabet. From Z to W, we skip 2 letters. But from W to S, we skip 3 letters. This skip 2, then skip 3 pattern keeps repeating. The last jump from I to E was a skip 3 jump. So what's next? It's time for a skip 2 jump. After E, we skip D and C, and we land on B.
All right, time for our last section. Let's fire up the visual part of our brain. These puzzles aren't about words or numbers. They're all about shapes, mirrors, and how different ideas relate to each other visually.
Ah, a classic. It's so easy to just count the small squares you see at first glance. But the real trick here is to look for the bigger squares that are made up of the smaller ones. So take a close look. How many can you find in total?
So, did you find them all? If you count systematically all the little 1 by 1 squares, then the 2 by 2 squares, the 3 by 3s, and the big 4 by 4 squares, plus any extras, you get a grand total of 40. It's a great reminder to always look at the bigger picture.
Next up, a mirror image puzzle. The rule for these is actually pretty simple. Everything just flips horizontally. Think of it this way. Whatever is closest to the mirror line in the original image stays closest to the mirror line in the reflection. It's just flipped.
This one is about categories. How do these 3 groups, engineers, patients, and doctors, relate to each other? Are they completely separate? Do they overlap? We need to translate these real-world ideas into a simple diagram.
Okay, here's the key for this type of puzzle. We have to think in terms of the defined categories. Doctor and engineer are 2 totally separate professions. You can't be both at the same time. Patient isn't a profession. It's a temporary state. So for the purposes of a clean logic diagram, these 3 are treated as distinct, non-overlapping sets. That's why the best representation is 3 separate circles.
We've done it all. Word logic, seating charts, number patterns, visual reasoning. Now it's time to pull all those skills together for one final challenge. You ready for this?
Here are your clues. You've got 5 people, ranked by weight. You're given just a few pieces of information to figure out their new order. This is all you. Go ahead and pause the screen, work through the logic, and see if you can crack it. Keep that brain working.